longtime friend, Mr. Hajj Flemings. Hajj redefines the term entrepreneur. This guy is always doing cool things, and now he's on a mission to help other entrepreneurs be better. Hajj started Brand Camp. Charlie and I were fortunate enough to speak at the very first one back in, I think, 2008. Been kicking it for a long time. Mr. Hajj Flemings, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, how's everybody doing today? I'll try that again. I said, how's everybody doing today? Good. I'm excited to be here. I want to thank Terry for this opportunity. I'm very excited to be able to be a part of changing the conversation that is going to take place as it relates back to Detroit. Right? We have to own this conversation, so I only have 10 minutes today, but hopefully I'll be able to say something that'll be able to transform the way that you think so you can truly do the things that you love doing. So we're going to start out, and I'm going to show some photos of people doing really cool stuff as we get started. And I was the first person doing cool stuff, right? What do we do in Detroit? We make stuff. We make our own coffee in Detroit. We build stuff in Detroit. I wanted to do, and I wanted to start out, and I wanted to talk about, okay. I want to start out with that because I want to be able to set the conversation and talk about the things that we do. If you look at the Detroit DNA, what do? We've always made stuff, and we've always done creative, cool, different stuff. On July 18, 2013, history was made. Nationwide, we became the largest city in the United States to file for municipal bankruptcy. But what they were saying is that the government was bankrupt. But what they really didn't realize is that as a city, we were never bankrupt. Because a city is comprised of more than just the government sector. It's people like me and you who are doing really cool stuff and really changing the conversation is what is going to be able to bring this city back. And when I think about this city and when I think about Detroit, what I think about is I look at this group of disruptive people who are going to be nimble, who are not going to be organized by an org chart, who are not going to be told what to do, but are really going to be part of changing our local economy. And that's what me and you are comprised of. It's going to be me and you coming up with ideas and doing things that are going to be different. What I realize is that the world doesn't talk about people that draw inside the lines. The world doesn't talk about the people that follow the rules. And what we want to talk about today are how many rule breakers do I have out there? And I'm not talking about doing stuff illegal, right? This is all legal rule breaking, right? But again, we're talking about people who are thinking outside the box so that we can do some really cool and some really innovative stuff. It's time for us to be able to tell the world what time it is in Detroit. So I want to start off with my story. In 2009, I was excited. I was working in the automotive industry for Ford Motor Company. I had just came back from Walt Disney, and I was excited. My wife, we just found out that my wife was pregnant. And I had a lot of life-changing events. I get called into a room at Ford Motor Company that my job was in. I knew that activity was going away, but it was going away on my birthday. So literally in Dearborn, Michigan, I walk out the door at 5:05 p.m. and then my iPhone buzzes, if I can find my iPhone. It buzzes with my next opportunity. My next opportunity was a pay increase, and it was me working on my own as an entrepreneur. But I had already made a conscious decision. I talked to my wife, and we're like, if you go back to another job, it'll be another 10 years before you truly do what's in your heart. And what I found out in that moment is that there was more opportunity to me to do something that I love to do. If I poured my passion into it, that I would be able to do some amazing things. And so I went down a path that many of us are going down. Some of us might be considered accidental entrepreneurs, right? Where we're trying to figure out what's next. And for many of us, we're forced into that next thing. But that next thing is where we really begin to create art. And we really began to do some interesting things that began to change the landscape and to change the conversation and to change the things that are going on. Again, we can go through a lot of people that I looked up there on there. You can look at Tommy Walker, who has the Everybody vs. Detroit t-shirts that people are conversating about. There are kids out there like Super Biz Girl who are doing really cool stuff, and she's on MSNBC and doing interesting things, and those are the stories that are being talked about. So as we talk about Detroit and the rebranding of Detroit, it's not about the government. My question is, what are we going to do as individuals to be able to change the conversation? What are we going to do so that we can really rebrand and redirect the conversation so now it's our story and it's not what the national media is saying? Because there'll always be negative things that'll be said, but it'll be up to us to be able to change that conversation. How many people heard of Detroit Week? Okay, so we did Detroit Week and we had a great time doing it. I want to show you something. This is how entrepreneurs think. We went and we contacted all kind of organizations to be able to get sponsorship. How many people have ever tried to get sponsorship for an event? Nobody has any money, right? I mean, we heard this over and over and over again. So me and about 3 friends, we said, you know what, we're going to just make it happen. So in about 3 weeks, with less than $1,000, we're able to get together 1,500 people for that week. We did an event called Detroit's Largest Selfie. When we put the event out there, I didn't have a venue. We didn't even have a date for it. We just said it's going to happen this week, right? Next thing you know, we had a venue. Then we came up and we were able to make it happen. We reached 8.2 million people that day. 3 million people were reached via TV. We were on 44 different broadcast networks. We were in about 25 different states. Good Morning America picked it up. Then they ran a series the next week called Love Your Selfie after we did it, all right? Reached about 4.2 million in Twitter, about 1.2 in Facebook. So altogether about 8.2 million people with 3 people who just had an idea. So my challenge to you today is that there'll always be obstacles, there'll always be reasons why you can't do certain things. But if we're going to change this conversation, we can't allow money, excuses, jobs, somebody else to stop us from doing what's truly in our heart. And so when I think about this whole conversation about 313D Love, I want to think about what you do where you can do what you truly love doing. How many people want to live a life where they do what they love doing? That's what I do. So the freedom of being an entrepreneur that I have the opportunity to wake up every single day. But it's an awesome responsibility. And my wife reminds me that every single day, right? That, you know, to do what you love doing, it comes with a price tag. So as we begin to think about, let's think about how we change the conversation. It's time for me and you to become storytellers. It's time for us to be able to tell a new story. It's time for us to be able to tell a story that is narrated and defined by people who actually live here versus people who just report and have never set boots on the ground here. I want you to think about this. That it's time for me and you to run our vision. Time for us to be able to get out there. The future of Detroit looks like this. This is a young lady, 13 years old. Detroit's youngest entrepreneur is how she's been coined. But again, the future is not me. The future, this is our future. So we have to create an opportunity for young people like this to be able to do what's in their heart so that they want to stay here, have their home here, and make a difference here in the city of Detroit. So my name is Hajj Flemings.
6, 5,
I thank you for this time.
seconds and counting.
And I'm excited to be a part of the first 313D Love. Thank you.
And that's what we're talking about right here. Accidental entrepreneurship. Anybody else fall into that category? October 4th, 2007 for me. That's when I became an entrepreneur. I wanted it. I knew I wanted it. Fortunately, my previous company helped me along. You gots to go. So here I am. I went. happy about it. It's amazing what we can do when we put our minds to it, and more importantly, when we're forced to put our minds to it. Everyone in here is a leader. We got that creativity running through us. Part of the reason we live here. We'll talk more about the power of the number 1 and the power of number 3 later on.